Hello, this is a tutorial for the application Porta. If you have installed Porta onto your desktop, you could click on it, and it will lead you to the login page. So it is like this application is designed for people who just arrive to one city, and so it is a place for them to know each other. And so if you don't know whether each other mean, you could just click help, and it will tell you that a Port talent is who just arrived and wants some help from others, and Port talent is that if you feel great that you are living here quite long and want to help others, you could choose Port talent. Let's just choose Port talent to show the accessibility of this application. There are 6 main functions of this application. Let's start from the beginning, which is Portal. Let's start from the fact that one of our group mate is leaving. It is just because she is failed to engage into the Edinburgh society, and so she just leave and back to her home country. And it is a big problem that happens everywhere, especially for those international students. This project is aiming to solve this kind of problem. In order to make a mental portal between each other, we always need an excuse. And let's see how we find excuse throughout this application. Let's go to the Port task. Doing volunteer work is always a good excuse to talk to people. Port task is a combination of portage and portage. So for portage, it is a place for people recycle all their stuff into an architecture piece. So for Porta 1, let's say we need coffee and metal, which encourage all Porta users to contribute to the project and earn Port token at the same time. Another big income of Port token is doing volunteer work. Choose portage. So you could choose availability, and it will collaborate with Volunteer Edinburgh, which could search all those volunteer work nearby, and you could earn token from it. Then is Port tally. Port tally is where you could find all your money in a way of Port token. And then it comes to Port talk. It needs you to switch on the location setting. And then you could choose your status, whether you want to talk or not. So for me, now I'm happy to talk, and I click this one. Then it says that it will direct me to Port tab. It is a function that's similar to airdrop, because one of my friends met her boyfriend just because they are accidentally airdropped to the wrong person on the underground, but finally there was a relationship. So for this application, it is like reducing the coincidence. Now you could find that there are 2 other Porta users around you, which are my group mates, and you could find your avatar here, and you could just click on their avatar. And you know that, wow, she is called Edge, and you could just tap. And there are some instructions for you to begin with. So every time you invite a Port talent to talk, you will need to spend 1 Port token, as it said. If you found your conversation good, you could just add him or her as a contact. For this action, you need to spend 5 Port token. It is not cheap, but it is like based on blockchain that all your relationship created will be traced by other Porta users. And the more relationship you created, the more you are being trusted. Yeah, and that's it for Port talk. If you already have a relationship with Porta user, you may want to have a place to gather with each other. Portable is where these ideas become an architecture piece, and so we're just suggesting one plane for one architecture pieces because it is based on blockchain. All others, like Porta 2, Porta 3, will be generated by other Porta users. Let's explore it in more details. The first site that we are picked for Porta 1 is the Tronkirk. If you are familiar with Edinburgh, you may know that it is located at the junction of the Royal Mile and the South Bridge, and you may know that this place is really near the Waverley Station of Edinburgh, which is at the heart of the city. Make the space perfect for arrivals. Imagine that you are just arriving at Edinburgh by train and you are arriving at Waverley, so you could just route North Bridge to this point, and then you could find all other arrivals gathering here. There is one introducer which introduces you to the surroundings, to Edinburgh infrastructure. It makes a really good beginning in the city. What we are decided to do, instead of making installation into the church, we are going to develop the Hunter Square at the back of the church, because we are finding that it doesn't have a really good condition when we are spending time being there. After carefully studied the urban flow of Edinburgh, we are trying to make a curved shape which could be acting as an auditorium, which is pretty much like what happens during the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh, that there is a military tattoo on the Edinburgh Castle, and we're doing pretty much the same thing not far away. So when moving into more details, we are finding ways to separate the auditorium into modules, which could make it much more efficient with the biomaterial, and we found that it could even work as a telescope, which means every single unit could be lifted to different position, which allows different kinds of arrangement for different functions. And more details of arrangement will be presented later. So let's vote for arrangement for Porta 1 now. So 1 Port token is 1 vote. And for 1 vote spent on 1 unit means you are suggested this unit to be on a specific position for 7 days. After 7 days, it returns back to the default settings. So there are 36 units in total. Every 6 votes means you have a say of 1 pizza slice of the auditorium. And if you have 36 per token, you could even make decision of the whole auditorium. And it is like, it's a large amount. And the clever decision is that for people holding activities, sit together and decide one with all their per token together. Let's pick a random unit from the auditorium, like this one. And next, it allows me to suggest a specific height of the unit from 0 to 5. So let's choose 3 meters, for instance. Then it allows me to color it. So it is really portable that you could just design each seat with your own device. And the next step is to mint it, but it's like I don't want to influence other activities happen. One single unit could influence the whole arrangement, so I just leave it there, and let's go back to the main page. Finally, let's look at the port taste, which is user-led activities. It also needs to switch on the location setting because it requires your location. Before going to the map, it allows you to select what interests you, and it is like for me, student in Isala, I would like to select art, design, and I'm quite hungry now, so I may suggest cuisine, and let's continue. It shows like you could act as portalent or portaster, which are quite different. That portalent is who holding event and portaster is who attend. So let's choose portaster. There are not many activities around, which is because this application is just launched, and we could see there is one opposite to Minto is an art exhibition. Yeah, but I want to have some food, so let's search and student accommodation. And that it allows me to check the accessibility. Every time you want to find a place, Porta allows you to know the information about the buildings, which are uploaded by all Porta users. And that's all for Portaste, and that's all for Porta.